Hi everyone, welcome to Meet the Real Carlos. Today, what I wanted to talk to you about is something that happened to me on Saturday, the day before Easter Sunday. It's in regards to an illness called Bell's palsy. For those of you who don't know what Bell's palsy is, it's when half of your face, sometimes even the whole face, is paralyzed, and it's really painful. First of all, I just want to say I am not giving any medical advice. For whoever has had the symptoms, please go and talk to your doctor, get evaluated correctly. What I'm just sharing here is experiences that I had in my personal life and the way that I overcame it. So let me start from the beginning. So initially, um, it was probably on Friday prior to that Saturday, and I started noticing that when I would put on my mask, this nostril was feeling a little numb. Basically, it kind of felt like when you get sunburn or something to that nature. So it was a little strange, and then also when I would eat, my tongue was feeling a little strange, and mainly because I was eating some Lifesaver gummies, and they were tasting kind of strange. And so I noticed that it felt, my tongue felt a little bit more slippery, and the taste just wasn't there. So that was on Friday, and then on Saturday, and I will tell you, one of my fears is having a heart attack, and the second fear that I've had is ending up getting a stroke. And Bell's palsy is very similar to a stroke. And so when I first had it, I remember on Saturday I woke up and I felt that my lip was kind of strange. And look at these pictures right here. So the first symptoms is numbness around uh, the the lips and the cheek. And so I was having excruciating pain, headache around the behind the ear, and every time I would make my face to kind of smile, I would hear like a scraping noise that was in the inner ear, which is strange. And then this little area around the jaw was very sore, so I thought maybe I had slept wrong or something like that, but it didn't get better. And so um, I was also having neck pain all around, especially in the back area. And when I would go like this, I noticed that this little area, this nerve, was, there was no movement. And it was very painful. I remember being in class and it would burn, like hurt, like if something was pulled. So I thought maybe I did sleep wrong or something, but it didn't get better. And so when I woke up and I felt my tongue and my lip feeling kind of droopy, I went into the mirror right away and I noticed that half of my face wasn't functioning. Especially in the area, it's like when you try to give a kiss and you see that your lips are in that position. Well, one of them was lopsided, like how you can see in the picture. And so I got scared to the point that I went and when my wife, when I saw my wife, I told her, "Do you notice anything weird in my face?" And she says, "Yeah, it's a little crooked. What's going on?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's Bell's palsy." And the reason why I knew it could be Bell's palsy is because my father had had it, my older brother, my cousin, and my aunt. And so, because of those symptoms, again, it's headache, hurting behind the ear, weird noises when you do try to smile. And so I said, well, it's probably Bell's palsy. So my wife said, well, yeah, most likely it is. Why are you worried? I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. And I said, well, because I need to know that it is Bell's palsy and not something else, because it could be stroke. It has the same symptoms. Of course, I had had checked myself to see if it was stroke. One of them is like numbness around the other hands. You can't lift the arms correctly. You have trouble walking. So I kind of knew, but I wanted to make sure. And what I did is I called Kaiser and talked to one of the nurses, and I told her my symptoms. And same thing, they asked me, they had to make sure that it wasn't a stroke. So she asked me, well, can you go to urgent care safely? And since I kind of knew what it was, and my wife asked me, well, are you going to be okay driving? I said, sure, I'll just go ahead and drive. And so I drove myself. My nearest hospital is like 30, 40 minutes. So I drove. And the funny thing is, when you have facial paralysis and you go to talk to the receptionist, they take care of you right away. I mean, they really, you go in the head of the line. And so when I was seeing my doctor, I told him, look, this is what I'm having. I think it's Bell's palsy. He first asked me, well, are you medical? Meaning that if I was in medical school or something like that. I told him, well, no, but my father has had it, my cousin and my aunt. So with the symptoms, I think most likely that would be it. And so he said, well, we just have to make sure. He ran all the tests again. He checked my arms to make sure that I do have the strength. And then he said, well, just to make sure, let me go ahead and send you to get a CAT scan. And that way we could rule out that it's a stroke. So they did a CAT scan. And within like 45 minutes, they came back and they told me, oh, well, the results shows that, there isn't any stoppage or blockage in your brain. Your brain is completely fine. And so I said, well, that's great. So what's the next step? And so first thing they'll do is they'll give you medication, and that's what I wanted to talk to you. Medication that they give you is antibiotics, and then they give you steroids. And I usually don't take any medications. I've been healthy pretty much all my life, thank God. But they with this steroids, it does mess with you a little bit. So they told me, well, take the steroids, take the antibiotics, and if it hurts a lot, because one of the feelings is that your face hurts like somebody punched you. And there is a lot of soreness because the nerves are dying. When I got there, and if you see in these pictures that I'm showing you right now, my face wasn't completely paralyzed. I still had functions of my eyebrow, and I could still open and close my eyes. It was just this little area in part of my lip. So the doctor said, well, perhaps since you came to the medical center early, with this medication, it'll stop it and it won't progress to the point that you'll have half of their face paralyzed. So I thought, well, that'll be great, because my brother did take a while to start taking the medication, and he did have full paralysis on one side. And so I thought, well, maybe it's true that I won't end up getting half of the face paralyzed. So the next day, even though I did take the medication, I think I took 2 dosages. So I think you have to take it every 6 hours or 8 hours. It's every 6 hours. So I took mine in the afternoon and then in the evening to go to sleep. And one of the things they told me is that it may make you drowsy. So I said, well, fine. I mean, if it makes me drowsy, I'll take it before going to sleep, and then I'll sleep nicely. And so I did. For the first 3 to 4 days, it was wonderful. I mean, I was able to sleep really, really well. But then on the 4th day, it started getting that I would get insomnia and a little bit of mania. So for those who don't know what mania is, it's a sensation that it's kind of like OCD. You keep doing the same thing in your brain over and over and over. And since I was studying, I would pretty much study all night in my brain, even though I was asleep. So my brain was tired, but it was still working a lot. And then it gives you a sense of feeling very powerful. So the first 3 days, I was feeling really weak and tired, but then after that, I felt really, really powerful and strong. And it had to have been the medication because I usually don't feel like that. So it does tweak with your brain a little bit, but I could tell you it's worth it because it made me get better pretty soon. So the medication was it was a 14-day regimen, so 2 weeks. And when I asked my doctor about the symptoms that I had, what I was having with the insomnia and the mania, the first thing he said, "Oh, uh, yeah, it turns out that we gave you the maximum amount of medication in the shortest amount of time. So perhaps that's the reason why you were getting this mania and this insomnia. So oops." But it did help me, I think, to recuperate quicker because the doctor did say that it could take anywhere from 2 months to 6 months to 2 years to fully uh, get your face to work or function the way it was. And I think I got better within 3 weeks. I had better function of my face. It wasn't entirely 100%, but I could say maybe 80%, which was great because when you have Bell's palsy, you're unable to move your face, of course. I can whistle. In order to eat was painful because it's completely sideways like this because this was the side that I could work, that was functional. And so I had to put my spoon or the bread or whatever, stick it in there and chew because this side was the only part that the cheek was actually working. It was very difficult and challenging. You can't eat or you can't suck from a straw because there's no suction there. Everything just falls out. You're drooling like a little child 24/7. So it does mess with you. My eye was watering all the time to the point that when because on Saturday when I thought that it was all over, that it was going to reverse the whole thing, on Sunday I noticed that it was completely gone. Like the area that was kind of working didn't work anymore. And so if I were to have my eye open, it would stay open. And then for me to even blink, I would have to close it, count for a few seconds, and then open it again. So that was my life for the following almost 3 weeks. I would drive and I would close it and open it in order to function. And your eye is constantly watering. That it's just very, very, well, it takes a toll. And so one thing that I could tell you, when you get Bell's palsy, you will feel depressed because it's tough on you. And then you will have people telling you, "Oh, why are you worried if it's not life threatening?" Well, and that's what I would tell them. Well, I mean, if you are embarrassed by having a little blemish, a pimple in your face, or like a sore, like a cold sore, and you don't even want to go out. Imagine what it feels like to have your whole face not working. And yes, I could wear my mask, but even talking is difficult and challenging because you talk like this, so you have lips, and so it's embarrassing. Even on the phone, it was embarrassing for me. So it does make you a little depressed, and especially because when you start reading about Bell's palsy, you do research about it, and then you see that some people don't fully recuperate, which is a little tough on you because you say, well, what if I'm one of those people that don't recuperate? And I could tell you, it did go through my brain that what if I'm one of those persons and I end up paralyzed from my face for the rest of my life? And going to, like recently, I saw that Justine Bieber had something similar, and I generally didn't really follow him, or I'm not a fan because I wasn't ever a fan, but just knowing that he's a public figure, he's been known for his good looks, and to have the paralysis of the face, and it just must be difficult on him because it was on me, but it's it's something that you can overcome, and that's why I decided to make this video to let people know that there is life after Bell's palsy. Um, as far as it coming back, according to what I've read, there's maybe an 8 or 12% chance that it will come back, but or that it could be permanent, especially if you have family members that have had it. But it's usually just within the first 2 years. After that, the chances lower, but it's still kind of scary. And as far as the reasons why you get Bell's palsy, according to my doctor, and that's one thing I asked him, is because I noticed the week prior to that I did get like an insect bite. It was like a flea or a tick because I was around dogs. So I told him, could it have been a deer tick that was infected? And he started laughing like how they usually do. And he said, oh, well, no, it can't be that, especially because we don't live in northeastern part of the United States where there's actually deer. And I told him, well, my dad, when he had it and he was diagnosed, that's one of the things that the doctor said was that it was a deer tick that was infected with Lyme disease. And he said, oh no, that's highly improbable. What it most likely it could have been was that it's stress. It's that your body is telling you to slow down. And I can maybe agree with that because I was stressing a lot. I could tell you I was trying to go to school full time. I was taking 16 units and then still working, having kids, taking them to school and all that, and still finding time to study. So I felt invincible. And I think maybe that's why I got the Bell's palsy. But I don't know. Again, I asked many doctors and they say, we don't know why it happens, but it does happen. And there's usually a cure. So again, thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully it helps. And if you know of anybody that's going through Bell's palsy, share this video with them. Hopefully it gives them some sense of reassurance that you do get better. It just takes a while. And again, I recuperated quicker. It could have been because of the things that I did, that I went to the emergency room right away. I started with the medication. And another thing is that I would massage it and exercise my face as much as I could. Another thing that I did see is that I got on the treadmill and I started working out. And with that, it also, I felt like there was more blood flow to that area because while I was exercising, I could feel like more of a tingly sensation on that area. So again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you my experience and what worked for me, and hopefully it will help other people in the community. I do appreciate you guys taking the time and watching my video, and again, I hope it does help somebody. And if you guys could please subscribe to my channel, hit the like button. It really helps on the algorithm. And also, take care.